Now, speaking of all the actions and measures, we have a distinct guest here, Foreign Minister of Jordan. Jordan, as you know, has been a part of regional and international, all the efforts when it comes to Palestine. And my dear friend, Ayman al-Safadi, personally, for the last 2 years, I have the privilege of working together with him in many international meetings and events just to defend the Palestine. So he is very knowledgeable about it, and he is very much active. So I want to ask him, through Jordan's eyes, I know that you have a specific responsibility for Masjid al-Aqsa too, and you are very close to West Bank, and you have already declared a red line for some scenarios, for future scenarios of West Bank. So when you look at overall what's happening in Gaza and the ambitions towards West Bank, and how do you see it, and how our work collectively on contact group together can be more effective, more institutionalized through our work, please.
Good evening to you all, and thank you, dear brother Hakan, for hosting us today. And I want to congratulate you on the success of this really amazing forum. And I want to stress again that we've been working together as partners with a view to achieving our common goal of achieving justice, ending the oppression of the Palestinian people, and setting our region on a course towards a future of peace, stability, and security for all. So again, I recognize the importance of our partnership, and I thank you for your efforts, dear brother. Look, I think this is a friendly audience that really knows everything that's happening in the region, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining what's happening in terms of the immediate, but I must say that we've got to, right now, identify our priorities. And the number one priority is to stop the carnage, stop the madness, stop the brutal killing of Palestinians and the destruction of Gaza. Because that is going unabated, despite our continuous efforts, not just as a group, but also among many others of our partners, to bring this brutal war to an end. We have not been able to do so. The amount of destruction is beyond description, and I think facts speak to themselves in terms of the number of Gazans killed, numbers of children killed, numbers of hospitals destroyed. I think that has crossed the record of any other conflict in modern history. As you said, we in Jordan are the closest to the Palestinians, and the Palestinian issue remains to be at the forefront of our priorities, working with our brothers and partners to try and bring an end to the conflict. And I think we've got to look at the bigger picture and really assess the strategic danger that we see happening here. If you look at Israeli policies across the region, from Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, and Syria, I think we'll see a pattern of Israel escalating under false pretenses to try and achieve its own strategic objective of expanding their territory at the expense of neighboring Arab countries. And that's something that we have to watch very, very carefully. What is it that Israel wants, and what is it that we can do to stop it from achieving it? And I think key to this is really exposing the policies of Israel, showing the long-term devastating consequences of its policies, not just on us in the region, but also in the Arab and Muslim wars, but also in Israel itself. Because I think by now, decades into the conflict, everybody knows that unless we solve the root cause of conflict, which is the Israeli occupation of Palestine, the denial of the Palestinian people of their right to freedom and safety and justice and statehood, the region will never enjoy security. And war will continue to be a shadow hanging over our region. That has been the history. So I think now the focus must be on ending the war, saving people. Imagine that since March the 2nd, not a single piece of bread has been allowed to over 2 million Palestinians who've already lost their homes and their schools and their streets and their clinics, everything. So how is denying people their basic right to food a self-defense act? How is this investment in the security of Israel, or even in the future of Israel in the region? These are the hard facts that we know, but these are the hard facts that we've been working collectively together in the group to expose to the world and to explain that there is a false Israeli narrative out there that is distorting facts and that's sowing the seed of future conflict in the region. And it's not what we in the committee have been doing or not doing that's really the reason for why this carnage and this brutality is continuing. We in the group are very unequivocal about what we want. We want to end the conflict, the war in Gaza. We want to solve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict on the basis of the two-state solution that will guarantee security, stability for all in the region, and that a sovereign, independent Palestinian state would live in peace and security alongside a secure Israel as well. That's been our proposition. That has been our plan for decades. What do we hear from Israel? And ask any Israeli officials, what is your vision for beyond the immediate wars that, and I say wars in the plural because we see what's happening in the West Bank, we see what's happening in Syria as well. And we will not get the answer. And this is the message with which we need to go, armed with facts, to the world and say, we want peace, but in order for peace to last, it has to be just, and in order for the peace to be just, it has to fulfill the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to freedom and statehood. Nobody is looking the long term, but there are over 500,000 boys and girls in Gaza who haven't gone to school for the last 2 years. What kind of future awaits these? How is Israel going to achieve security if the Palestinian people continue to suffer destruction and continue to have their rights exposed? And we can go into Syria later and what's happening there, but ultimately the message from us in the region is that we want peace, we have a plan for peace, but we don't have a partner in the current Israeli government, and we're really all looking forward to being able to take our plan further, share it with the rest of the world, including with the United States, which is a key partner to all of us, particularly now that we have an American president, President Trump, who says he wants to make peace. And we are partners in that effort to make peace, and I think it's our job to explain that in order for that peace to happen, the Palestinians have to have their state and have to have their freedom to live side by side, Israel and peace and security. But I think we cannot continue as an international community to have the future of the region taken hostage to the ideology of the Israeli Prime Minister and to the radical extremist ministers in his government. Not only is he taking the future of the region hostage, he's taken even the future of his people hostage at the expense, in order for him to serve his political interest and for the ideologues in his government to serve that ideology. That is not the right thing. That is not going to produce peace. That's not going to produce security. And I think even Israelis themselves should ask themselves, what kind of future do they want to have? How are they going to navigate the oceans of hatred and dehumanization that the continuation of the war is creating in the region? We want to live in peace. We want all of us to live in peace, but there's only one path to that peace: ending the occupation, fulfilling the rights of Palestinians to freedom and statehood, so that a Palestinian state again would live side by side, Israel in peace and security.
Thank you, Ayman. After our opening remarks, I would like to open the floor to the audience for Q&A, and we have almost 10 minutes, a little bit more than 10 minutes. So who would like to ask the questions? Lady over there, please. Mikrofon yok mu arkadaşlar? A mic, please. Please try to shout.
Yeah, I'll shout. Okay. Thank you so much, Ministers. Lizzie Porter, correspondent for the National Newspaper. I'll shout even louder. Lizzie Porter, the National Newspaper, Kabul correspondent. I have a question about the Egyptian Prime Minister's remarks about training a Palestinian police force. Who is doing that training, and is there a sort of timeline after the ceasefire?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yes. So the question is about the Egyptian Foreign Minister's remarks about training a Palestinian police force for Gaza. Who is doing that training, and is there a sort of timeline after the ceasefire for deploying them? In what sort of form would they be deployed? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think our Egyptian colleague was trying to address the sort of the various components of what a successful plan for reconstruction would be, and any plan for the future of Gaza, which of course after achieving the priority of ending the war in Gaza right now, will have to stand on 4 legs. Humanitarian, early recovery and reconstruction, governance, security and political horizon. Because without any of that, we're really not going to be able to have the ecosystem that would allow us to get out of this misery into a better future. In relation to the security aspect, there are a lot of aspects to that. We have to be able to develop a complete security structure that will ensure that Gaza is safe, and we have a convincing security plan there. Part of it is the training of Palestinian police, and I think both in Egypt and Jordan we said we are ready to train Palestinian police. In Jordan we've already trained police from the West Bank over the years. Egypt has trained police for Gaza. So in the context of that comprehensive plan that would allow us to move forward, whatever it takes to be able to ensure conditions of security, we're willing to do that within the context, of course, as I said, of a broad plan that stands on the 4 legs that I've mentioned. The training of Palestinian police will be something that we will be willing to do. I think Egypt already started with some numbers and deadline and timing, obviously are going to be subject to the reality of the ground. And again, before you end the war, before you allow food in, before we get days of calm, it's going to be impossible to look forward. And that's why we've been urging as a group, as a committee, as members of the international community outside our committee as well, to be able to have a ceasefire, to go back to the exchange deal that will allow us the necessary calm during which we can all come together and fine-tune whatever plans we have towards the objective of ensuring an end of the war and an irreversible path, as our dear friend Prince Faisal of Saudi Arabia has been saying, who's the chair of our committee, irreversible path to the realization of a Palestinian state on the basis of the 2-state solution, so that the whole region can enjoy peace and stability.
Would you like to also comment on that question,
Of course.
Prime Minister?
Thank you very much. I think it would be useful to put this in context as well, because we're not training police, just any police. This is the police of the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinian government, and as we all know, the Palestinian Authority governed Gaza until 2007 and still have a police force in Gaza, and not been active, unfortunately, but we are now working towards re-engaging them, retraining them, and the training question then comes into that context partially. We're working together with Egypt and Jordan to train some of these members of Palestinian Authority police force that are currently in Gaza, to train them so that they can assume part of the responsibility for domestic security in Gaza. In addition to that, obviously, we are going to do additional recruitment, if you like, whether from Gaza itself, new members, but also potentially we can bring in some members of security forces from the West Bank. The idea here is that we are determined to reintegrate all institutions in Gaza and the West Bank, whether it's security or government agencies, line ministries, etc. So it should be seen in that effort, and of course it's useful here to emphasize also the political context for all of this. And I think it's no incident that the Arab Summit, the OIC last meeting, but also the Security Council Resolution 2735 all emphasized the importance of Palestinian Authority responsibility for everything in Gaza and the West Bank, including security. And I think the issue of one governance, one system, one army is very important.
Well, thank you. And the gentleman over there, please, you. Bec-
Too big an audience for vodka.
Thank you very much. Oğuz Üçüncü Deputy for the ruling AK Party for Istanbul. Just because of news containing that there will be an announcement for a solution by the US government soon concerning Gaza, is there any kind of solution that includes an exodus to Syria so that the Gazans have to leave their home and their land? And is this considerable as a solution for those who are members of the contact group? Thank you very much.
We have Syria. Never heard about Syria.
Thank you. First of all, I think we've made our position unequivocally clear, both as Jordan and Egypt, but also as Arab and Muslim countries, as a member of the Islamic Arab Muslim Community. Displacement is a red line that we will stand against. Palestinians must stay on their land. This is their ancestral homeland, and displacing Palestinians is something that we will never, ever accept. That is a common position among all of us. It's a legal position, it's an ethical position, it's a moral position, it's a human position. How could you just displace people and assume that you've solved the problem? And for us in Jordan, I think His Majesty has been unequivocally clear as well in saying that's a red line. Palestine is for Palestinians and Jordan is for Jordanians, period. No discussion of that. And I think you hear a lot of disinformation, misinformation, test balloons. I cannot speak for our brothers in Syria, but I'm sure nobody will accept the displacement of Palestinians. Syria is in a moment of transition itself. It needs all the support it can get. And that's why we're all supporting Syria and rebuilding Syria on bases that protect its sovereignty, territorial integrity, represent the rights of all its people, and preserve the rights of all its people after the decades of suffering to which the Syrian people have subjected. And Syrian refugees have yet to return home to their country yet. I mean, whether in Jordan, where we have 1.3 million Syrian refugees, or in Turkey, which have graciously hosted Syrian refugees as well, these are still in our countries. And waiting for the right moment to go home, and they cannot go home until the infrastructure for rebuilding their country have been put in place. And that's why we're urging all of us coming together to support Syria and building the new Syria of hope and fairness and justice and promise to all its people. And that's why we're all urging an ending of sanctions so that Syria can rebuild and create conditions conducive for the voluntarily return of refugees to Syria. I want to elaborate a little bit, if I may, on something that our colleague from Egypt has said. There's this narrative out there now that's trying to market what they call voluntarily migration. And if people want to voluntarily migrate, then nobody should stand in their way. And I think we need to be very careful here of to what amounts to voluntarily. When you make a place unlivable, when you destroy everything from streets to schools to bakeries to water pumps, and then you push people to leave, that is not voluntarily. We are in this hall now, and we're sitting here discussing. Somebody puts a fire to this hall, and we all run. Is it voluntarily departure from the hall, or is it we're running for our lives because the fire is going to consume all of us? So that's something that we need to look at. And we need, again, to look at the broader picture. What is it that the current Israeli government wants? Not just in Gaza. Why are they encroaching on Syrian territory now? The Syrian government has said it doesn't want war with Israel. It wants to focus on rebuilding the country. Where is the threat to Israel coming from Syria now? And yet Israel encroaches in Syrian territory, creating the seeds of future discontent. So that is, look at the West Bank, what's happening there. The confiscation of land, the settlements. And Hakan asked me about the holy sites, which to us in Jordan is a top priority, and His Majesty has made it very clear that preserving the Arab Muslim Christian identity of Arab Muslim holy sites in Jerusalem is a top priority for Jordan, and we will do everything we possibly can to protect it under the Hashemite custodianship of the holy sites as well.